Hey, it's Victor from Social Firestarter. In the last video that I did, I went a little bit deep into an Ahrefs readout just so that I could describe the difference between referring domain counts and backlink counts. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check that out because it gives you a little bit of background info as to what I'm going to talk about today. So there are plenty of ways to look for backlinks. Obviously, no backlink is worth the same value as a different one. So amongst all of the different reasons why you wouldn't want to use bulk or PBN links, I'm going to go ahead and explain in this video like the main concept as to why you don't want to do that. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons, and depending on which source is pitching you for links, or maybe you found them, depending on which source is going to be a different story. But overall, this is going to be why you don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and show basically like the consequences or the way it really plays out if you were to do a campaign with just cheap links. So this, and I'm not going to show the specific website of what I'm looking at here just because it might be weird if they're watching, but that's okay because really all the info that we need can just be summarized by these little charts. So obviously I can go deep into each individual link, but before this video, before I started recording, I already went through and clicked through a bunch of these links. There's tens of thousands of them, but clicking through and doing a spot check, you can kind of see what's going on here. So let me go and explain what we're looking at. So in the last video, I described why you might want to use referring domain counts instead of counting how many individual backlinks you have. There's all sort of different ways that marketers might try to be a little bit shady about the counts that you see when you start to scan your website. So just, in simple terms, you want more unique places giving you mentions. You don't just want to go back to the same place that provided you a mention before to obtain another one. That's not going to be as valuable. So given all of that I've mentioned in the previous video, let's go ahead and dive into the links here. So there's a bunch of numbers and metrics to look at. I'm just focusing on this little section right here. And specifically, I'll start with the referring pages because that's where you can see a little bit more of something weird going on, basically. So whenever I look at the different websites in the different cities that I'm working in, there's all sorts of different things that I will check from time to time. But amongst everything else, I look for patterns. You always want to distinguish if there is a specific pattern in your city because oftentimes, especially if it's a good thing to do with your website or with your backlinks, a lot of times it can benefit you tremendously just by looking at what others are doing and trying to match up with them. Not just to copy them, but rather to get into competitor parity, to appear a little bit more like those authoritative websites that are already ranking. Now, there's a lot of patterns that you can find, a lot of good ones and a lot of bad ones. This one would be a bad one. So what am I looking at here? On this referring pages chart, we can see historically how many pages out there online have been producing a mention for this given client, for this given law firm website. This is all a reading across an entire domain for a law firm's website, right? So historically, it actually shows you a chart of how many individual pages were linking to this law firm's website over time. So as I go through the years here, you can see for the most part, it was a little bit stagnant. So a lot of times this is what it looks like when you just don't do much SEO work. And then going into 2019 here, you can see a large increase in the amount of backlinks. So we're going from, under 800 to suddenly 32,000 backlinks in in about 6 months. They went from, under 1,000 to now over 30,000 links. So this, if you would have gone back many, many years, maybe just stacking this many links can still improve the visibility of your law firm. But we're going into 2021 now. Things are very different. And even just 2 years back, I really don't think that this would have provided much visibility at all. And you can kind of see that as well just by looking at the domain rating that, although there were way more links on the website at this point in time, the actual rating, at least from this tool, is giving them a much lower rating. So we can see that, whatever strategy was there, sometimes if you see this in like 2015, maybe it worked back then to a degree. This definitely didn't have any sort of value generated from that many links. So the most important part, and what I'm really trying to show in this video, is the consequence of purchasing this many links. So again, I did click through the links here just to see what was going on in there. But a lot of times when you see something like this, right away you can tell those links are too low quality to even expect them to last. So the thing is, when you're building mentions for your brand, for your GMB listing, for everything that you have online, you want to get them from sources to where you pretty much know for sure those are permanent mentions. Those are mentions that the website producing them is going to stay up forever, and they're not going to go back and delete the link after a year or two. So that's a really, really big distinction for quality on backlinking, because if you're going to buy 30,000 links, and especially in this case, I won't go too deep into it, but in this case, I can tell that these 30,000 links came from only maybe a few hundred websites. So those few hundred websites that are producing this many links, there's no way that those have good quality content. So what's the problem with that? Well, if that website that's producing a mention for you is so low quality that eventually somebody can report the website, or Google catches it and just flags them and just wipes out the website, there go all your links. There go all your mentions that you just spent money on, and there goes all your visibility. So you can kind of see the effect here as February 2020, we're back to 102 links. So, all the work that was done here was pretty much eliminated within the same year. So, above all other reasons, this is like the biggest one that I would mention, just because, if you're building links to your law firm, you should be seeing it as almost like building equity, because your domain, that is your property. And the more links that are pointed to it and the higher quality of those, the more visibility you have, which then produces more business. You can't really look at your campaign as producing or building equity if the links are just going to disappear the next year. So that's pretty much the biggest thing that I was trying to show in this video. I did kind of go through a little bit more technical details in this one. So if you have specific questions, definitely drop them in the comment section of this video. And for anybody looking for more details as to what else we do or how else we run our SEO campaigns, visit lawyergmb.com. We have that set up for some more information there. That's going to be it for this one. Let me know if you have questions, but thanks for watching, and I will see everyone in the next video.